If you're working with instrumentalists, it's important that you know how to describe what you want your music to sound like. In order to communicate where you are hearing the texture changes, you need to know the roadmap of the song so you can refer to specific sections. We call this roadmap the song form. Song forms are usually organized using letter names like A, B, or C, or section labels like verse, chorus, or bridge. Each new letter name or section label refers to a section of music with new material. Let's look at a few examples. A strophic song, or refrain song, uses a form that repeats material on every section. We label these forms with A or repeating A's. Songs with changing form letters offer new material with each new letter. Examples of this type of form organization include Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, which is an ABA form, The Star-Spangled Banner, which is AAB, and Somewhere Over the Rainbow, which uses AABA. Songs that are through composed do not repeat form letters because they offer new material on each section. An example of this is Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody. One of the most common song forms in popular music is the verse-chorus song form, which in its most basic form is verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. There are many variations, which may include intros, outros, interludes, pre-choruses, and post-choruses. An example of this song form is Firework by Katy Perry. To organize the form of a song, we first need to identify where new sections occur. There are a number of aural cues we can use to distinguish between sections. First, listen to the chords. In many songs, the chord progression will change on each new section. If the verse and chorus use different chords, the progression in the verse might end on a chord other than the root of the key, leaving you with this unresolved feeling, while the progression on the chorus might be more likely to end on the root or the tonic, providing more resolution. For example, Lettucey's song Anything for You is in the key of D major. The chord progression in the verse ends on a G minor, which is a minor 4 in the key, while the chord progression in the chorus ends on a D major, which is the 1 or the tonic of the key. The next cue can be found in the lyric content. In verse-chorus form, the lyrics of the verse may provide context or tell a story, while the lyrics of the chorus provide more of a main idea or the point of the story. The contrast in the lyric content is usually mimicked in the textures of the instruments, the organization of the dynamics, and the emotion of the delivery. Although there are variations, most often choruses will use a louder dynamic level than verses, or the first verse-chorus set will be similar to or use a softer dynamic level than the second verse-chorus set. The dynamic shape in each section is typically dependent on the lyric content and the vocal delivery. Finally, changes in instrument textures can indicate where a section begins and ends. Depending on the song, sparse textures might be used in the verse, in which case you might hear just piano or guitar only, accompanied by a snap sound on beats 2 and 4, which we refer to as the backbeat. Sometimes, other instrumentation is added on the chorus. For example, you may hear the bass enter for the first time, or a full groove on the drum set that combines patterns on the kick and snare drum with the snap sound you heard in the verse. One of the most obvious aural cues is a drum fill. A drum fill is a rhythmic pattern that differs from the consistent groove and is often heard at the end of one section to signal the transition to a new section of music. The fill might also indicate a change in dynamic levels. Try organizing the form of one of your favorite songs. Start by writing or typing the lyrics, then listen for changes in harmonic material, lyric content, dynamics, and instrumental textures to differentiate between sections. Label each new section using letters or section labels depending on the type of song. Then give yourself an extra challenge of adding the instruments that you hear. Practicing form identification will prepare you to communicate more clearly with the musicians that you work with throughout your career.